Oh my God, I just had a brain fart. Welcome to In the Know with Cat Bob and today I have a very special guest. It's Cecilia Gillam, and Cecilia is a science teacher who currently teaches honors biology and AP environmental science. She's an ambassador for Peak Deck Learning and Edpuzzle and an expert mentor for the Modern Classroom Project. She loves all things STEM and teaching students through real world relevant experiences, and she teaches students how to be a scientist. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. I really appreciate going into 2025 with a bang, talking about science. I do have something I wanted to add in, and I wanted to thank everyone who's been a part of the show thus far, everyone who's been listening. I got a really cool report at the end of 2024 that my most popular city is Frankfurt, Germany, and the second popular city is Singapore and then California. So I want to appreciate everyone who's been a part of it. Oh, looks like we're losing some reconnecting. There we go. And so thank you to everyone. And if you are from Frankfurt or Singapore, send me a message. Email me at acatknows@gmail.com. That's ACATKNOWS at know how we got to Germany and Singapore. I think that's amazing. But in the meantime and in between time, Cecilia, tell us
Yes.
about you. Tell us about the work that you do.
Right. So, like you started off with, I am a seasoned science teacher. I've been teaching for 19 years now. Pretty much taught like a lot of things. I'm that science teacher where they come in and say, "Here, teach this," and I just make it work. I, like you said, I am an ed tech guru. I love bringing in educational technology, but also connecting that to STEM and teaching my scholars like how to do the things. Just trying to get them ready for the real world because I'm a firm believer that we have to reinvigorate the STEM force and get students more interested in STEM and, as they say, touching grass and like touching the science and like doing it instead of watching it from like a simulation. So that is really, just me. And I love flipped/blended learning and personalized learning. Like I'm definitely on that wave with just trying to get, students just to fall in love with science again, because so many of the students I encounter, they get burnt out because many of their teachers either didn't let them touch the equipment, or if they did get to touch the equipment, it was like this cookbook stuff. And so also inside of everything that I do is trying to teach them to understand that science is not perfect and it's okay. It's okay because that's how we learn. So that's just me.
I love it. I think science teachers are very pivotal in someone's learning. I remember my teacher in high school, junior high. I went to school in Alameda, which is a city in California. It's right on the water, and it was a marine biology class. And in that class, we actually put on waders. We went out into the water. We collected samples, and that, as you said, touching the grass, being a part of the science was oh my, okay. Yes, being a part of the science was just amazing.
Yes. Yes. And that right there, and that's what I tell a lot of like new teachers is just that we could think that they worried about our content. Content is important, but it's the experiences that you give them in the content that they walk away from your class learning.
Right, right. And I do want to shout out the people in the chat saying hello. Blazing Cross and Fabrica Bolo. Okay. Welcome to the show. And if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and put them in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's watching it live. But yeah, I think as you've mentioned, being able to do hands-on science, like I remember that, and I've been out of high school for over 20 years, and I remember that vividly, right? That was really a turning point for me because I'm like, this is what people do. People get to go outside and do this type of stuff. I love that. So, can you talk to us more about that type of learning and how you're teaching it, that type of immersive and, as you said, personalized learning?
Yeah. So starting, I'm heavily immersed in like the science world. Like I serve as the board secretary for the Louisiana Science Teacher Association. I do a lot of work with NSTA, and from those interactions, I've learned that students learn best through phenomenon based learning. So in my classroom, I connect everything that I teach to the real world. Like right now, I'm out here looking at the news. I know a lot of people, it is kind of doom and gloomish, but I'm looking at this from a teachable moment perspective, like the wildfires that are happening in California. I'm like, okay, so now we can talk
Mhm.
about it because they're talking about how they don't have water because kids here in America think that we just have this unlimited supply of water, and teaching them about like water conservation, or why is it that we need to kind of start thinking about I teach the tragedy of the commons, like how when we use something in commons, if somebody's overusing it, what happens then to the other people who like need this resource. So talking to them about resource scarcity, and then again also talking about the global water crisis, because the kids, they just think because we can go to the tap, it's like this for everyone. And I'm like, no, it is not. There are places right here in the United States that don't have the things that you have. And it's all about also building that empathy, building that capacity, and getting them to become the engineers or designers of solutions. Because I say, okay, it's one thing to talk about the problem. Now let's start thinking about what are we going to do? How are we going to solve for this problem? So actually having them come and sit down at the table, I think is the most rewarding part for me, is because, like I said, I teach them that everything inside is trial and error. Get out there and
Mhm.
try it, and so
Yep.
now, because in the beginning, some of the kids, they're like, oh my God, like give an example. We were doing this closed ecosystem, and my classroom at the time was really, really hot. So we couldn't get our seeds to germinate. So these kids thought, oh my God, it's all over. And I said, no, it's not over. We just have to find another way. And just teaching them that is the thing that I love to do in the classroom, and just getting away from the cookbook labs, because there's nothing. I tell them, it's okay if it doesn't come out right. Your data is your data. As long as you can explain your process, your thoughts
Right.
behind it, then that's where we need to be. And so getting kids away from just that fear of failure. Like in my class, I teach them, I said, failure is a part of the process. Failure is not final unless you make it final. But now
Mhm.
that you failed, you try over with experience. And they look at me sometimes like, but then they start embracing it, and it's so good when I hear them saying it, because we were just building wind turbines the other day for this challenge, and the kids at first couldn't get their blades to spin, and then one of them was like, see, we had trial and error, now we have trial and success. And I'm like, yes, that is what that's the important things that I want the kids to walk away with.
Yes. Yes, I think that's amazing. Like, I feel like people miss that aspect of science because there's a lot of parts into it that is just, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Is this going to work? And 9 times out of 10, it may not work. But then when you finally get to that point where, yes, it's working, we're doing this, we figured it out. Like, that's that whole eureka moment. That's that moment where everyone is just like, whoo, we finally we made our premise a reality. What we were deciding, what our oh my God, our guesstimate was. You know what I mean? Like that in part, I feel like when everyone is doing well.
Yes. And then like a part of it too
So
is that,
I
go
wanted
ahead.
to back to the beginning. Did you always want to be a teacher?
No, I always get asked that question, and I tell people
I'm
no.
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me? I'm sorry. Is my
No.
connection bad? Uh-oh.
There
Is it
we go.
me? Okay. All right. So you were saying, go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Did I always
I
want
think
to?
we're good. I think we're good.
Okay. Did I always want to be a teacher? And I always laugh when I get asked that question, because the God honest truth is no. I ran away from this whole idea of being a teacher because it just wasn't the popular thing to do, if that makes sense. Because everybody was like, okay, you like science, so why don't you go be a doctor, or why don't you go be an engineer, or all of the things. And this is what I tell people. I started out in college as a mechanical engineer major. And I went
Hmm.
through and I went to my to mechanical class, intro to engineering. It was intro to engineering. And we had to build this screw. And while I was sitting there building the screw, like I passed the class, but I felt so unfulfilled. I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And so then I went and I took science classes, but let me just back up a little bit more. When I was a little girl, I always was the teacher to my dolls, to my cousins, to just like
Yeah.
everything. And I was the kid who, at the end of the school year, when the teachers were cleaning out their classroom, I was in there like, give it to me. And, I'm bringing it home and I'm putting it on my wall. And, my mom, I remember my mama fussing at me because I was putting too many holes in her wall, because that was
Hmm.
my thing. And I remember getting my mama to buy me chalk, and I would write on the door because my mama, she wouldn't buy a chalkboard. I guess maybe she didn't have the funds, whatever. And so I would find ways to still be a teacher. So tell myself it was always in me. It's just that I ran from it. But then at the end of the day, it came back because the person I was dating at the time, when I was sitting there just trying to figure out, I was like, I have all of these science credits. What am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? He was like, have you ever
Right.
thought about teaching? And I was like, I have. So, and then that's really how I fell into it. But since being in it, I've been teaching since 2005. I know that this is where I am supposed to be because, one, I love it. Two, I mean, I could have left, but I stayed in it because I said, you know what, my work here is not done. And I actually really do love the day-to-day interactions I get with the kids, like just the inspiration that a lot of them get from me and come back and say, you're the reason I went into STEM, or you're the reason that I did this because you believed in it. And I was like, see, that's the part. So went around the world to say, I guess I was always in me, you know.
That's still, I mean, that's amazing that, sometimes, well, not sometimes, a lot of times our path is never straight. It's up, down, sideways. You got to go around, to finally get to where you're supposed to be and where you need to be. And a part of the reason why I like to do this show is to showcase that no one's path is linear. Like you can run from your passion, or you can go do this job and this job and this job, and then when you come back to where you are, your passion, your joy, it's just, it's there. You know what I mean? And it's something that you're going to do and accomplish and do well. And any testament to a teacher is a student coming back and saying, you opened my eyes, you showed me the way. Thank you for being there. Like, I love that aspect and what you're saying as far as being a teacher, because I know a lot of teachers are frustrated right now, or been frustrated, quite honestly, about what they have to teach, what they've been restricted from teaching. Um, and the pay. But you have stuck through it. Ooh, I don't want to put a timestamp on it, but you said 2005 and it's 2025. So you've been in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, what are some things that you have learned along the way? Some things that stand out to you for being a teacher?
One thing that I've learned in the span of time I've been is learning how to become my best advocate, because you touched on some key things that I find are things that causes teachers to leave. Most of us, we
Mm,
don't leave because of the pay, but we leave because you get in administrations that start restricting you and telling you what you can and cannot do. And I am a living testament. I had to step away. Like, I actually was working at a place for 18 years. Like, and that was a long time to be in one spot. Almost an anomaly. Like, you don't hear people staying there. But what started happening was my administration started making me not want to teach anymore, because they slowly started
mhm.
taking the joy out of teaching and saying, well, you have to be doing this and everybody has to be doing this the same way. And I'm like, that is not the real world. Where in education did we start to believe that we have to pigeonhole people? Now, I get we should be about on the same topic, but when you start trying to say, Well, because they're not comfortable doing hands-on labs, now you got to do simulations. Now that's not going to make me happy.
Mhm.
Simulations, like I tell people, they have their place. I don't hate them. I don't dislike them, because there's some things I need a simulation for that I cannot do in the classroom. But for the things that I can, I don't want to do it that way. And so anyway, my best piece of advice to people is you have to go and be where you can actually grow, and become the best version of
Mhm.
yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna wilt, you're gonna hate it. And when you hate it, the kids can tell that you hate it. Like children can read us like a teacher, like the bag of a book. They know who and what they can do what with and what buttons they can press with who. And so that's why I tell people you have to find like your happy space and your voice. And I tell people all the time, like I don't expect like everybody's going to teach the way that I teach. Like you get what I'm saying? But I tell people
Yeah.
you just have to be authentic. And so that's one of the main reasons why I've been able to sustain. And then also I'm gonna give it like a shameless little plug. I work with the Black Teacher Project, and they
Mhm.
actually reignited my fire, because like I said, I was sitting at a job that I hated because of what was going on, and because they brought me in and they gave me the tools and they gave me the strength to say, you know what, you don't, if that place isn't serving you, you're not helping the kids, so it's okay to move on. Because sometimes as teachers we feel guilty, because I was like, oh my god, I
Mhm.
don't want to leave these kids behind, and what will they do? And it was like, Cecilia, that they're gonna be all right, And I was like, you're right. And I can still reach out to them and I can still help and work with them. I don't have to be in that building. And so just like telling new teachers, especially, it is okay. And then voice, like be voice. If you don't believe in something or agree with something, you have to let them know. That's what I
Right,
do.
right. Absolutely. You got to be an advocate for yourself because no one else is going to be an advocate for you like you're going to be one for yourself. So like I think that that is a very important thing to say and to reiterate
Mm-hmm.
to those who are coming new into the system and new into science, new into teaching. Like they're going to give you everything and people are going to throw things on your shoulders. But if you can advocate and say, yeah, I'm willing to do this, not this, or I'm willing to follow this pathway, not this pathway, like you're going to have more success in your career, which is amazing.
Indeed.
So I wanted to yeah, so I know you talked about teaching and correct me if I'm wrong, teaching honors, that means you're teaching high school, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so teaching high school, like how do you prepare yourself for that or how did you prepare yourself for going and teaching high school? And I asked that because I have a 4-year-old, so I'm still new to going to school and figuring it out. But I hear the stories about high school and the students in high school, and how do you prepare each day to invigorate them, to get them ready to learn about science?
Well, one thing I would say, I start all of my classes off with a motivational quote. So first we have an opening quote and then we have a closing quote. Like, because I just believe positivity breeds positivity. So I put them in the mindset of success. You know what I'm saying? Like just feeding that into them. So we start
Yeah.
our day off like that. And then the thing is, like, I'm 100% authentically me. And so like I am vulnerable with my kids. Like if I don't know how to do something, because I know sometimes people think that because you teach high school, you have to know everything. And like I told them, I said, listen, the minute that I know every single thing, that's probably the minute I'm going to be made to perish. So as long as I'm alive, I'm a grow. I can grow and I can learn. And I let them know, like, this is my class is not top heavy. So it's not the
Right.
hierarchy where I'm at the top. I tell them we are in this together. We're learning together. And
Mm,
I learn from you, you learn from me. And then that's how we, and that creates that safe environment where kids feel like, they can take risks. And so I don't have classroom management issues. Even, I mean, the school that I'm at now is a pretty, like, you have to test to get in. But before I got to the school, I was working in a very
mhm,
rural school with kids who, if you saw them down the hall, they would be acting a fool. But they knew once they crossed that
mhm.
threshold and they got into my class, we leaving all that behind. And people, and I was like, I don't
Yeah.
threaten them. I said, all I do is I be real. I keep it real. That's why I tell them I'm always going to be 100%. And I tell them the same thing. You could be 100% with me because it's very little that can hurt my feelings. I tell them all the time. I have two daughters, right? And they are 18 months apart.
Mhm.
Now they're like 17 and 19, but I tell them they have already like did everything to me. So I promise you, nothing that you can say to me is gonna hurt my feelings because they've already done it. So I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
So and that's what I tell
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's great. Yeah, let me again, shout out the people who are watching live. Leon, I see you. He said very true about teaching. I appreciate that. And if anyone else has comments or questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. But I will just wanted to say, like, teaching, from what I hear, I'm on the outside looking in, but teaching high school is not for the weak. And so that to me means you are very strong and you are working with these students to make them strong, to give them a positive outlook on what they can do. And you already shared a few success stories of your students coming back, but can you let us know some of the careers or some of the options that some of your students have chosen to do based off of you, based off what you've taught them?
Yeah, I've some of my students have gone on to become nurses. I've had one student, he's an engineer major. Of course, I get some that go into accounting, which I still count math. Um,
Yep, math is there.
yes, one of mine, what is he doing? Kinesthesiologist, I believe is how you say that. He's working with kinesthetics. Okay, I got that. Kinesthetics. He's
Yeah.
doing that.
Kinesiology. Kinesiology.
Kinesiology, there you go. Thank you. You saved me because I'm sitting in the back of my head. I'm like, girl, you know that word. Why you can't say it right now?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's how I go and on the spot. But so that's what some
It's
of
all
them
good.
have gone on to do. But I do want to say, some of them have had to, as you say, go around, and I tell
Mhm.
them that that is okay, because one of the things that I also always preach to my kids was, I know that everybody is not equipped to go to a 4-year college. And I tell them that is a-okay. I said, as long as you
Mhm.
find something that you enjoy, because even if that is being a manager at Burger King, because I have some that's managers at Burger King, but they enjoy it. I'm like, and if that is what makes you
Yeah.
happy, that's what it's all about. Because that's why I tell people I had to do what made me happy. I said, because if I would have followed the path that others wanted me to follow, such as go to medical school or do this, I don't think that I would be as happy. And then I have 4 kids. And so it worked out for me being a teacher because I was able to go with my
Mhm.
children in the summertime and, for breaks and different things like that. And so that's why I tell people, you just have
Right.
to find what is going to make you happy, healthy, and whole. And if you got those 3, it's a good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I really like that. Yeah, have, as long as you're happy and whole. Like for me, it's kind of similar what I say, but I'm all about peace. I want my life to be as peaceful as possible. Sometimes I am not in control of that. There's outside things coming in that likes to disturb my peace, but that if I can do anything, it's just to have a peaceful existence. And that's all I am looking for. So I completely agree that as long as the student is doing what they love to do, they're out there enjoying life, like that's the main thing. That's what is important for them. So I am looking at currently the picture you sent me, which is, oh my goodness, all the things you've done, apparently. So I want to dive into some of them. So you said you are an ambassador for Pear Deck Learning and Edpuzzle. What are those options, or what are those programs that you're an ambassador for?
Yes. Okay. Oh my God. Like, I love actually both of them. So I'm gonna start with Pear Deck since we brought Pear Deck up first. So Pear Deck is an interactive website. I've been using that probably for the last 7, 8 years. I don't even know how many years I've been doing it, but essentially in my classroom, before implementing Pear Deck, kids always should be like, I can't see the board. You had like all of these things, and everybody wants to sit here or sit there. And so now with Pear Deck,
Mm-hmm.
my screen is their screen. So whenever I'm doing Pear Deck, it's like your slide. So, and it's interactive to where I can in the moment do formative assessments. Like I put up questions through there. They get to do drawings.
Mm-hmm.
Like the drawings is like a huge thing in my class that we go over. There also is the thing called Pear assessment where I use that to do my quizzes. So if they have any other educators on here, Pear assessment used to be Edulastic, if they ever heard of that. Anyway, they bought them out. And so that is what I use. And that helps guide me as far as, because modern classroom pedagogy is we teach for mastery. And so I use Pear assessment along the way to see what skills my students are mastering, what skills they're not. And so then I can go back and then use Pear practice, which is this other interactive gamified thing that kids absolutely love and is highly competitive, but they're learning as they're doing it. Because like in my classroom, literally, you will come in there,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing traditional. My classroom is very untraditional. Like I don't stand in front of my class and lecture, right? But yet these kids still get these amazing scores. And like I tell them, I said, and guess what? I didn't stand in front of you and lecture at you. So that brings in Edpuzzle. So Edpuzzle, I'm an ambassador for them. That is a website or platform, I should say, where you can either create your own videos, get videos off of there, or like upload YouTube videos, educational videos, and you can embed questions. Now I use Edpuzzle a lot because I make personalized videos of me doing my lecture, because that allows kids to work at their
Mm-hmm.
own pace. Any teacher know the traditional way, when you up there lecturing, somebody is going to say, wait, I cannot get it, and I had to actually show them one day.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, because they were complaining because they weren't used to everything. I said, all right, we're going to do it the old school way. And then when they were like, wait, I was like, no, 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 can't wait. Gotta go, gotta go. I said, now y'all see why we do the videos, because again, it's a video of me. It's not some random person. It is me, teaching the
Right.
concept. And so now they appreciate that. They're like, can we please have the video? Yes, because, and they get to watch it at their own speed, so different things like that. But Edpuzzle, I tell people all the time, really good website platform to use to check for understanding. Like I tell people, you can't just
Hmm.
pop a video on there and just let them play. You have to actually hold them accountable, because they are kids and they will do what kids
Yeah.
do. Again, high schoolers, they
Yeah.
get pretty inventive in what they do. But like I tell them,
As
so I love it. I love those.
long as you get the information, that's the main
Yes.
thing. So that's pretty cool, though. So is it that you are recording the lecture live and then they can play it later, or these are already pre-recorded and they can watch it at their own pace later, even though you've already talked about it, discussed it in the classroom?
So that's a good question. So I pre-record them before they come to class. And the way that my classroom is set up, everybody isn't always doing the same thing in the same time in the same way. And so one group of
Mm,
kids might be working on lecture, one group of kids might be doing a
okay.
lab, one group of kids might be doing a practice, their pair practice or something like that. Some days we have things where we do whole class. But I do pre-record them. Because live can go hit or miss, or audio gets messed up. But I do also tell people,
Yeah.
I do not spend a lot of time making videos. Like the first take is the first take. If there's a mistake, that mistake will live inside that video. But I do it, and it also lets them know that I'm human. Because like one time I was doing a video and
Yeah.
it was just supposed to be kilowatt, and I was like kilowatt hours. So I just put a little note in the video, like, guys, I didn't mean to say kilowatt hours. It's so, and they love that. They love those things
Yeah.
because again, it makes them, it's real, and they understand. Like I tell them, I'm not perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect.
Oh no, I mean, yes, I completely get it. I started my podcast and forgot how to start my podcast. And I'm just like, okay, I've done this over 100 times. How do you forget what you're supposed to say? But it
Mhm.
happens, right? We are human. We have our little brain fart moments, and it's one of those things that makes us real. I'm not the plastic person on social media who's like perfection. Look at me, look at my perfect family. No, we fall, we have scrapes, we have problems, and that is okay. So I really appreciate you saying that and being a part of that. And so you also say you're an expert mentor for Modern Classroom Project. What is that?
Yes, first and foremost, I highly recommend, if there are any educators that are listening to this podcast, please go to modernclassroomprojects.org. Right now, we are currently recruiting for our virtual program. And this, let me just tell people how I got into it. It's kind of funny. Um, I got this random little email and I was looking at it and it was like, hey, flip classroom. I was like, okay, I want to learn more about it. And so once I got into
Yeah.
it and they started teaching the pedagogy behind the flip classroom, I was highly appreciative and I was able to get a scholarship. So we are also giving scholarships right now to people. All you got to do is apply. So that's the first step, is just get on their website and apply. And I
Mhm.
promise you are going to just learn so much more and you're going to stretch yourself as a teacher. So I serve as a mentor. So what that means is the new people who are coming in, I'm the one that's reading their portfolios and like helping them to understand the actual process. And a lot of times some of my mentees, they think, oh, because they submitted something, that they're just gonna get, like, they're gonna pass. I'm like, no, you pass when you actually like do the work. But I tell people your mentor is there to see you be successful, but at the same time, they're gonna hold you accountable, because we
Mm,
want you to be able to implement this into your classroom and we want you to know what you're doing. Because like me at my old school, I was the only person doing modern classroom project. And so therefore, when you're the only one, it's this thing where you got to prove yourself, because people like, you don't know what you're
mhm.
doing. And really that's how I fell into
Right.
becoming an expert mentor, because I knew they were gonna question me. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and say this, as a black woman, I get questioned more. And then when I got doctor in front of my name, I got questioned even more because of it. And so I
Right.
go and get these credentials, one, because I'm a learning junkie, I guess, but then also to say, look, I know what I know. Like, I know this, and
Right.
I'm doing this with complete fidelity.
Yes. I mean, and I appreciate that. And, we don't necessarily have to dive in. I give that option to you. But as a Black woman in today's society, I mean, in society as a whole for the last 400,000 years, but in today's society, and what's going on right now, it's hard you got to prove yourself 20 times more than your competitors. And even though Black women are the most highly educated group of people currently, and yet you still have to prove yourself 10, 20 times more, which is insane, but it's a reality. So kudos to you for getting doctor in front of your name. Sorry you have to deal with people questioning who you are and what you have to do. And yeah, I think that it's amazing. Oh, we just got a comment. I love it from Ted Bell. He said, he called you Cece.
That's
Oh, does he
okay.
know
Sorry,
you?
CC.
Okay.
I don't.
All right, Ted. He said, Cece and Kat, thank you for sharing your wonderful, insightful gifts of teaching science. Please, please, please continue your path of teaching, as you both are so much needed by our babies. Love you both.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Awesome comment. Thank you, Ted. But yeah, we got to stand up and do
Mhm.
more. And I'll bounce off it, or I will let you comment however you choose to comment on that. But yes.
Yeah, and it's the unfortunate thing. And I tell people, like, even when I got to my new job, I had this curve of people not realizing. First, I'm gonna say this. I guess it's because I'm a humble person. And when you meet me, like how we talking, I'm down to earth. Like, I never come off as, yes, I'm Dr. Gillam and I know and I don't come off like that. And so
Mhm.
I think sometimes inside of that, people look at it like, oh, well, she must not know. And it's like, no, I don't. What's understood doesn't need to be said. That's just my personal philosophy in life. And
Yes.
but also I do know, like, just from being with other black educators, we do have to work harder. Like, I was reading a book. It's called Jim Crow's Pink Slip, and this whole book is about the fact that black educators, we are usually more credentialed, we have more
Mhm.
education, but yet we are always last to do anything. And even so, like, at my new place, I had to kind of step back because I'm the new kid on the block, and they were like, well, we're going to go by seniority as far as how we're going to decide who's teaching what. But I'm really the only black woman in the room. I'm the last person, but I'm the most
Mhm.
qualified in some of these situations. It's like, no, like, why, we doing that. We need to just try to start to disrupt those systems. That's what I'm here for. That's why I said I speak up now. Again, being in the game for 20 years, I'm going to tell you, like, hey, I'm tired of it. But I don't know how we change that narrative, because even sometimes students look at me and they'll be like, "Yeah, but so and so down the hall is doing this," and I'm like, "Baby, comparison is the thief of joy." I don't live my life comparing
Yeah.
myself, because if I did, I would not be where I am, because I would always feel like I'm less than when I know that I'm more than. And so, like I tell them, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be different. So embracing differences, because we teach kids like, "Oh, you don't want to be different." I'm like, "What's wrong with being different?" And like, what's
Right.
wrong with being a black woman? And actually, there's research behind the fact that if a student I'm talking about any race, has a black teacher, they are more likely to go on and produce some great things, because we understand, like, we get it. Like, I tell kids, I came from the bottom. They think I came from the top. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I started from the bottom. Now I'm here, and just
Exactly. I mean, you have to have, I think I said this at the very beginning of the podcast, but having those teachers in your face, in your life, that's going to say, yeah, you can do this. Like, there's no reason you cannot do this. But also having a teacher such as yourself, who is credentialed, who is not going to be in a box when it comes to teaching, and being uplifting to the students and saying, hey, I did this. Here's my vulnerability. You can do this and more.
yes,
And like, I interview everybody. I'm all about diversity. You want to come on my show, you come on my show. But when I have to say this about black people, we are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, and we have to make them proud, right? And so I see you standing on the ancestor or standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, making them proud. And that is better than anything. I don't know. I can't give you more accolades than that, because to me that's one of the top accolades I can get. You know what I
yes.
mean? And I'm very happy to hear the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, but I'm gonna get off that pedestal. So, and the thing about science, and the thing about people in STEM is, yeah, we get pushed into this cookie cutter ideal of who we are and what we should be doing.
Mhm.
And oh yeah, Leon said, I am a credentialed teacher in two separate fields, but the respect is not there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that, because we get it. Yeah, and that's how it
I
is.
get it.
Yeah. But anywho, so outside of teaching, what do you do? What do you like to do for fun? What is your day when you're not having to teach?
It's so crazy, because literally I work so many different jobs. So right now, typically when I leave school, I also work virtually, so I do virtual instruction. But in my spare time, I really love digital graphics and creating stuff. So I used to be heavy into arts and crafts. So I used to do a lot with my Cricut machine, but I just don't have the time. So what I do now is, like, I create like really elaborate PowerPoints or really elaborate digital graphics, and then now I've been getting into like doing some animation type of stuff, because it's like, oh, these things, just little things that make me happy. So like I said, I'm an ed tech person. So anything that I can do
Mhm.
to like enhance my what I do in my classroom, that's pretty much me. So you can find me making digital graphics.
Oh, okay. Where can we find your digital graphics though? Where can we see the work that you're doing in that
Well,
field?
you know what? I need to actually kind of start posting them. They like live with my students in my classroom. I put them on my PowerPoint. But I think what I am going to start doing is, because you actually motivated me, because like when you found me and I was like, I was already thinking about, like, I want to start, just kind of getting out there and showing people the things that I do, because I tell people, if it lives only within me, then what have I done, right? It's time to like start spreading that out into the world. So I think that is what I'm going to do next. But one of the things that I have done is I've written a book. It's called Black Girl, You Are Amazing. That is on Amazon, and so you can find some of my little artwork in there. And again, that came from me teaching young Black girls and also having two daughters who felt like they were less than, and it was just to be like, you are amazing. So again, that's me spreading positivity. So that's another thing I guess that I love to do is spread positivity and joy. So yeah, you can check that out. So if anybody's interested, it's really good book. It's geared really, because people always say what age. I say like maybe middle school age, like upper elementary, middle school, because it has a journal inside of it as well, so that they can journal. Uh-oh.
Yes, there we go. Oh, let me fix it. Oops. Make it so you can see it. But yeah, there we are. I think I need to make this screen bigger. But yeah, there we go. Black girl, you are amazing. I see it on Amazon, and I need to learn how to do my own stuff better. But yes, y'all go check it out. I think it looks so adorable. Um, and that's just kind of like what I've done is I have children's books based off of my son. And it is called Carter Can Be. And my son's name's Carter, and he could be an astrophysicist, a marine biologist, an animal biologist, and a seismologist. Those are the four that I've written. And I think that our kids need to see themselves in roles like that. And our kids need to see that they are amazing.
Mhm.
And awesome. That's so dope. But I do think that you need to share more of the stuff that you're doing because as my child's father told me, we need to be more narcissistic like the rest of them. You know, you can go on social media and see all kinds of, I won't call it crud, but it's not the greatest in my opinion, of people who are sharing just whatever. But educational materials, you know, your art, your stuff like that, you need to have a little narcissism sprinkled in there and showcase it.
I'm like, look, I am going to
Okay,
fully
so
embrace what you are saying and lead the charge, because again, like how I started off with being in teaching, I ran from it, but it kept coming to me. I feel like it's coming to me now, and this is 2025, and I really do need to just start getting out there and doing it. So that's gonna be my next step, and then maybe I'll be bringing you on and be like, look, she was the one who inspired me to do these things, highlight you because I appreciate it.
oh yeah, I'm all for it. You know, for me, I'm like, I feel like, oh, dang, now I'm having a brain fart again. What's her name who ran first? Only, well, the first black woman to run for presidency and got real close. Oh my
Is it
God, why can't
Shirley?
I think of her name? Shirley
Yeah,
Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm. Yes. You know, if they don't have a seat at the table for you, bring your own seat or build your own table.
yes.
So that's my 2025. I'm going in just doing it. You know what I mean? I'm it's not being afraid, not overthinking, not having those moments where like who's gonna listen to you or who's gonna pay attention to what you're saying.
Mhm. Yeah.
People are gonna listen to me. And I'm gonna say my motto. I've been saying it to people separately. I hadn't posted it or anything because I know I'm gonna get some negative feedback. But my motto for 2025 is to have the confidence of a mediocre white man. And I'm just going for it. I'm going
As you
for
should.
it.
As you should. Yes.
Yes. If these mediocre white men could just do what they want to do and say, oh, they the greatest, so am I.
Hmm.
So am I. I'm the greatest. So that's where I'm going in life. Shoot. Anyway, get off my pedestal. So I'm thinking, you know, we're going to come to an end. I want to say thank you again for being a part of the show. But before we go, how can people find you if they need mentorship, if they need to know more about how to be a good educator? Number one, how can they find you? And number two, if you can tell your 10-year-old self anything, what would you tell her?
Okay. So I'm going to start with the hardest one first. If I could go back to my 10-year-old self, I would say, girl, keep your head up and be confident, because when I was 10, I was the quiet, reserved one. Nobody would have ever thought that I would be doing the things that I'm doing. And so I would just tell myself, like, believe in all of your capabilities and know everything is going to fall into place. And as far as if people want to follow me, so I am on Instagram, Facebook. It's my name, Cecilia, Cecelia 21082. That's my handle on Facebook, Instagram, and X if you kind of want to follow me on there. I do have a YouTube channel that I'm about to start like doing some more things with. And so it's my name, Cecelia Gillam. You could probably find me that way on YouTube. And if you want to email me, my email is Gillam, so CGILLAMBROWN at gmail.com. So C Gillam Brown at gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you. I see Cynthia. She said good show. I appreciate that. And I think this was a really good show. And I'm gonna have a proud moment. And the proud moment is y'all don't get to see the chat, but I've had some trolls today. This is the first time since doing this podcast. I've had trolls. That means I've made it. That means I've made it. You know? I'm here. Y'all can't take it away. But yeah, I appreciate you taking your time out in Louisiana where snow is abnormal, but y'all are getting it for the first time. So, climate climate change is real, folks. So make sure, I mean, I don't know what you can do about it right now, but it's real. And I'm gonna give you the last word. What's the last thing you want to tell the audience?
Last thing I would say is be you, they'll adjust. That's what I always tell people. You can only be yourself. And as long as you are true to yourself, everything else that is meant for you will come to you.